The next objection is one that has plagued me literally for years. It comes from Alex O'Connor and his YouTube channel. He
Yeah.
denies free will. And I remember seeing the video pop up however many years ago where he says, "We are not free," or something like that. And I thought, oh, okay, it's obvious that we have free will. This isn't going to do anything. I'll watch the 13-minute video. And then I watched it and it stayed with me for years. And I thought, oh, uh-oh, I think there's actually a good point here. Now, I imagine you won't think that, but still, here's the objection. We only ever choose to do something because we want to or we're forced to. It seems to be mutually exhaustive of the possibilities. We only ever choose to do something because we want to do it or because we're forced to do it. Now, obviously, if we're forced to do something, we did not do it freely. We can just take that
Yeah.
as given. But
Yeah,
it also seems like
sometimes you do something accidentally. You tried
yeah.
to do
So
A, but you
yeah,
actually did B. So
we only ever
what's
do
the
things purposefully, I think is what he clarifies,
yeah, okay.
because you
Yeah,
want to or you're forced to. And
yeah,
so if you're forced to do something, you're not free. But then if you really think about doing something because you want to, then it also becomes difficult to see how it can be an action that's done freely. Because there's a sense in which you can choose to do what you want, but you can't really choose what you want to do. So if I choose to pick up my cup or not, my coffee cup here, once again, illustrative purposes, I will do what I want to do. Say I want to pick it up, and so I do. But where did that want come from? Did I choose to want to pick it up? Well, no. It just came. Here it is. And I picked up the cup. And then you could say, well, no. But maybe you will resist your desires to make a philosophical point about free will. And so I'm not going to pick it up, even though I really want to. But at that level, your most fundamental desire is to want to make the philosophical point, and that's why you didn't pick it up. But you didn't choose to want to do that. Once again, it's just there. So it would seem that if you push the analysis of wanting far enough, of free actions, or of apparently paradigmatic free actions, doing something because you want to do it, you're not forced to do it, you still terminate in factors outside your control, the things that you want. And
yeah,
I found that quite problematic because as you do continue to think about any free action, obviously given this definition of want as even this second order, I will refrain from this desire because I want to make this other point. I didn't
yeah,
choose those things. They're just here. So
yeah.
has Alex refuted free will, Mike?
No.
Okay.
But I have two reactions I'm inclined towards, and like one reaction is, well, okay, so if you wanted to do A, and you suppose you only wanted to do A, you didn't want to do anything else. Is it true that you couldn't do anything else? Well, sometimes I make jokes to this effect, like, well, I couldn't come to the meeting because I didn't want to.
Right. Right.
And nobody else ever accepts that.
I would. I'd be like, that's a serious philosophical point.
So anyway, but I'm not really sure what to think about that, because I I do see the sense in saying that you can't you can't just like freely choose to do something you have no motivation at all to do, can you? But I also see the intuition on the other side, like, no, you can't say that you couldn't do it just because you didn't want. Anyway, my other dominant reaction though is, no, that's like too simple of a conception of human psychology, that you just like want one thing. Like, no, people have a variety of motives. We have different kinds of motives as well as different motives of the same kind, right? So, like, well, we have sort of inclinations, right, as people sometimes say, but we also have like values. And then, but among our values, sometimes we have conflicting values, and then we have conflicting inclinations and all that. So there, there isn't a single thing, right? At least much of the time, maybe almost all the time, there isn't really a single thing that you're most motivated to do, because you just have conflicting motivations. And so it's like, it's up to you. And part of what your free will is doing is selecting among the reasons that you have.
Mm. So that there are these more problematic cases where there is only one want, one desire. It's difficult to see where you could generate anywhere in your psychology a choice to do something else.
Yeah.
But I wonder
Well,
if you just kick the can down the road with this conflicting desire case, I might try to decide whether or not I want to go to the gym, get in my weightlifting session, or stay home and continue napping. and I have a conflict of two desires, and ultimately I decide to go to
Yeah.
the gym.
Yeah.
I'm deciding to act on the desire for a healthy life and good physique against the desire for immediate comfort. But
Yes.
ultimately, there was a want to prefer that course of action,
Yeah.
the
So
course of action of a healthy life. And did I choose that? Did I choose the want to prefer one to place preference of one desire over another? Well, it's not as clear cut to me anymore that Alex is making a good point, but I don't know. I
yeah.
don't know. I don't know
Well,
that I
so
chose that fundamental second order desire.
yeah, I mean, so like Alex's point might be more intuitive if you have a simple conflict of desires of the same kind. Like you got the restaurant choosing between two tasty meals, and then like one of them is a little bit tastier than the other one, so you choose that one. Okay, and then it might seem like if the one was clearly tastier,
Right.
then it might seem like it's determined. Okay, but in your example and in many examples, there are motivations of different kinds. So there's okay because there's sort of like when you're lying in bed and you want to stay there, there's a sort of different kind of motivation. There's like a feeling, there's a felt desire at that moment. Okay, but then when you think about how you should try to get in shape, that isn't really the same thing. There isn't like this felt desire, this like,
Mm.
pull that you're feeling. There's a thought that this would be in your interest and like you have long term plans that you've made in the past. Right. And so because they're of different kinds, you can't really say that one of them is stronger than the other. They're not really commensurable. There isn't really like a single scale on which they both fall.
I see.
Right.
Okay. Okay. I could see that as if you have truly incommensurable motivations or desires, then
Yeah.
I'd have to think
And
about it. I think it's a
by the way, like, this could be a good time to mention one of Thomas Reid's arguments. Not sure what to think about it, but anyway, Thomas Reid imagines that you're there and there's two completely equally good options, right?
hmm,
There's like two slices of cheesecake that are equally equally good. This is like the bird into ass scenario where
right.
but with a person. Okay. Anyway, yeah, the two pieces of cake that are equally good, exactly equal. And now it looks like on the determinist view, you can't eat either of them, right? Because there would have to be something that determined you to take that one over the other, right? And then Thomas Reid just takes it as obvious that you would eat one of them, right? And you can't take both of them, right?
Yes. Hmm. All right. All right. Well, maybe that will tempt Alex O'Connor enough to come on the channel, and then I can talk to him, and we can talk to him. I really doubt it, but that would be great. So we'll see.
Cool.